Hello, 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 amigas, and welcome to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast. I have a beautiful soul here with me today, and she is a friend of mine. We've been having many wonderful conversations, and she's part of our Dios y Negocio, part of so many programs that I've been in, and I'm so excited to have her here. Her name is Lizette Espinosa. She is the CEO of Infanttech. And before we get right into all that, I wanted you all to know that she's not only an amazing soul, wonderful friend, but she is definitely a powerhouse. And I know in order for us to get to know her is to have her speak about it because, amigas, she's a leader and has many degrees, but we're going to focus on one of the degrees, which is being an entrepreneur. So, anyhow, Amiga Lizette, welcome to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Obviously, I love our friendship, and it's actually one of my favorite things is being involved with women organizations, and especially with Latina women. It's like, and so you've been such an amazing friend, and you don't know how much you've already inspired me in my own ways, as we go on through our journey. So thank you for having me.
Oh, well, thank you. The pleasure is all mine. And as amigas out there are going to learn more about you, they're going to fall in love with you as well. So, Lizette, okay, so yeah, you already told us you're Latina, but you know what? Where are you from? Like, is your family from LA or are they from somewhere else? Because amigas out there who don't know about you, let's get to know you, the real you, Lizette, like tus orígenes.
Yes, well, thank you. I'm a proud Mexicana. I actually was born in Mexico and came here when I was 5. I give my dad a lot of credit. It's like bringing both my parents bringing us here. It's like 5 kids when we were the ages of, between 6 and a few months. I'm second oldest. And basically, definitely learning the ropes of what it is to be here in America and, making it happen really because of my parents. So very proud of that.
Yeah, are your parents entrepreneurs?
You know what? My mom and dad, no, they actually worked on their own, but I have a lot of entrepreneur family members. Like my grandfather was an entrepreneur, my grandmother. And interesting because since our business is my husband, even on my husband's side, a lot of entrepreneurship. So 2020 hindsight, it makes it's absolutely like, oh, it was in the blood.
Right, right, right. Totally. And you know what? The interesting thing is that your background, it didn't start with the entrepreneurship. It started somewhere else. So you went to school in LA, right? And then at some point you decided you're going to go to study law. So, oh my God. So before that, how did this whole thing happen? Because you're not doing that right now, but like we were having a conversation before we jumped on the call here, that our skills are transferable from
Yes.
one of lawyering to one of entrepreneurship. But before we delve into entrepreneurship, like I've been saying, let's talk about what happened that first convinced you to go to law school, and then your work as a lawyer, and then the stepping board, if you will, into entrepreneurship.
That's actually a really interesting question because I feel I've been trying to answer what I was going to do with my life since I was 8. And it was one of those pieces where, when you look at the different areas of your life, career was definitely one of my challenging ones. And I was one of those little kids that I was good at so many different things, including drawing. Like I loved art. And believe it or not, at one point I thought I was going to be an engineer. And then it wasn't until even undergrad, I did my undergrad in public policy and economics at USC, not knowing I was going to be a lawyer. Yes, fight on,
Right
Trojan.
on, yes.
And it wasn't like 2 years afterwards where I was working at Univision in the sales department, and I had a boss who really was passionate about her job in marketing. And I was like, I want to be that passionate too. So I remember driving home and I was like, I should have been a lawyer. I should have been a lawyer. And lo and behold, within one of those drives, I said, why not? And the following year, like I applied for the LSAT, I did my applications, and the following year I was in law school. Absolutely loved it. I realized though the lawyer side definitely comes into play with my dad. He might not like that. I'll say my dad made me a lawyer because with the
Mm,
5 kids, I was always the one that was speaking up against something that's like, hey, but that's not fair, Dad, or but why? And so I was always advocating.
mm.
And that's where the law and the passion of the law definitely is within me and within the DNA of doing that.
Yeah, no, as you're explaining your journey in deciding to go to law school and just hearing you out in terms of like you're good at arguing, I really feel you in that because although I was the first of four, I was really good at that. And everybody was like, oh no, she's gonna be a lawyer. Oh, she's gonna be a lawyer. As if that's the only thing lawyers do, right? Argue. I'm like, no, they do more than that. But yes, arguing is one of them. And if you're becoming a litigator, obviously you always have to argue your position or defend your position and do all those things. But all right, that's another story because what I really want to get in is why we're here, why we're here having this beautiful conversation. And so you go to law school, you graduate, obviously, you start working here in LA or
I
as
was
a
still in LA. I stayed local. And again, I litigated for a while. And it's one of those where I actually had my own law practice. It kind of helped because I wanted a balance with family, right? It's one of those things where it's like I didn't want big corporate because of when children were coming. And so I really loved having my own law practice and litigating. For a while until obviously we got into what we're doing now.
okay. So did you meet your husband during this time or when did you meet your husband? Because it's very important for this conversation.
Actually, I did not meet my husband till after law school, and I was already um, practicing for a few years. And it's funny because when I went to law school, I said like, well, maybe I'll meet my husband there, but no. And 2020 hindsight is like, yeah, you don't want two lawyers in a household. I give credit to all of those that have that, but that was
But
not in the cards for me.
yeah, no, it's not a good thing. I get no, like the egos, Jesus Christ, no. Well, thank God you met your husband, and let please tell our audience what his name is because he's very important to this conversation as well.
So his name is Giuseppe. It's funny, we met on eHarmony. Actually, and it's funny because that was like over 15 years ago now. And at that beginning, it's like, are we going to tell people that we met on eHarmony? And it's like, yeah, why not? Because it was new, right? Online dating. But I love him. He is such a powerhouse when it comes. I feel we're such a good balance. We are definitely yin and yang.
Mm,
But this is how we ended up actually with our family business because we started it together.
mm.
He brought something to the table, and then I brought something to the table. And it really wouldn't exist, without the different combinations of, our different creativities.
Right. Okay, so let's speak a little bit more about the creativity. So, Giuseppe obviously is not a lawyer. How did he start his career? What was his career path?
He's in real estate.
Okay.
And he's actually a little master of all trades. That's what I like to say now, because he's currently doing like voiceovers. He has an amazing voice too that lends himself to that career. But the other side of him is he's actually the techie. He understands electronics. He understands production. Our business right now, Infanttech, we deal with manufacturing, and
Mm,
so he brought that part of the industry. And then I brought in the team and the processes. Like, okay, how are we going to do that? This is actually where the lawyer piece
yeah.
definitely came into play because that's what we were taught to do was how do we create a gameplay? How do you figure out how it's like all this problem solving?
Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Before So it's like the Jamaicans, they say no problems, just solutions. And I feel like if we could learn as lawyers, let's just focus on the solution of it.
Yeah.
We don't need problems. So when you as a lawyer looking at the contracts, then you're realizing, oh, okay, there's a gap here. This could potentially harm us, but it's not going to happen because I am my own lawyer, and I'm going to make it in a way where it's I'm fully protected, just having solutions, no problems ever in the future. So bravo,
You do the
amiga.
best you can.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, obviously, um uh, there's ups and downs when it comes to law, and but it's very important to have a robust infrastructure, a good foundation in order to survive, right? In any business, whether
Right.
it's coaching, whether it's even if you have your own law office, like whatever that is, you still need a foundation, and you guys definitely have it. So, okay, then kids came to your life at some point, right? Because, and I'm talking about your kids because that's also a very important component in your business, correct?
Yes, and they were actually the inspiration for Infanttech because when I had my son, it was that piece where it's like, so our product, it's called the Zooby, and it's a baby monitor for cars. So the way it came into being was because I was driving with my son, and it's like, and I couldn't see. So I asked Giuseppe, I was like, how come there isn't something that we can use that would allow us to see our kids easier? And can't we have a monitor screen in the front? Does something like that exist? And he's like, he actually went to go look for something, and he's like, it doesn't exist. So he created it. He created a prototype.
Oh my God. Okay. It's like, oh, it doesn't exist. I'm gonna make it. Like, I don't know. Like, but then you said that he's a techie.
Yeah.
Makes sense. He's a creative techie because you had the inspiration. Like, I want to see my child as I'm driving. And I know that when I was, when I had my baby, I was like, this mirror doesn't really help me out. So tell me, how is it that you guys created the prototype? How did it all happen? Because amigas need to go and buy your product, but walk us through the development of your company and creating this product.
Actually, this is good for anybody that does have an idea for a product, right? You need to do some research in the market. Does something like that exist? And if it doesn't, it's like, okay, well, how can we make it? And what would be your vision of it? So we actually literally took, like my husband actually just went to Radio Shack when Radio Shack was around
Oh my
and
God.
bought different things to do a makeshift prototype.
Mhm.
And with that, it was one of those where people were saying like, "Oh, that's such a great idea." We were getting a lot of good feedback. So to do that process, if you do have an idea, it's like if you can create a prototype, that's awesome, and share it with the ones that make sense to share it with,
Mm.
right? I realized I definitely would go into like many steps, but there really was a lot of processes in getting to that part. But I'd say one pivotal was meeting a woman that really helped us create a game plan. And it was like we walked into her office, it was an 8 hour like brainstorm session.
Mhm.
And we walked out with a game plan of how we would target from the beginning of like, here's the idea to like launching to market. I'd say the hardest part was really understanding the manufacturing part. Like, how
Mm.
do you actually create this?
Yeah.
Because it was a product versus a service. That was something that neither Giuseppe or I knew. And it really was trusting. This is where God comes into play, of
Mhm.
that the right people will show up to take you from step to step to like the fact that you actually see, like when I think about it, it's like, wow, it's like from the moment that we thought about it to here it was in our hands. It did take about a year and a half, but that's how it came through because that was brand new for us.
Yeah. Well, I would think for many people. Okay, so now you have a product. Okay, so So as you're driving, you can actually see your kid because there's a video, right?
Yes.
So describe the toy because maybe someone out there is trying to visualize it. So can you help us visualize that toy in the car?
Yes, and I'm actually like, oh, I should have had a Zooby right in front of me. But it's the Zooby, the camera is actually inside a giraffe or like some type of plush animal where you have the camera and it hangs on the back seat that's facing the baby. And then the mom has a monitor screen on her dashboard, similar to a like a where an Uber driver has his phone in the front that's navigating. Well, now she's gonna have that screen in the front on the on the left side that actually now she can see her baby's face head on day and night. So it's like the same thing. Now you're driving safely, and it reduces the anxiety that a mom has.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that we found is like even though moms know they shouldn't be turning around, it's like we can't help ourselves. It's like got this brand new instinct of I've got to make sure my baby's alive,
Right.
and now we're just that's actually one of our biggest things was just like reducing this anxiety.
Yeah. And yes, as especially as a new mom, like this is like so helpful because obviously you don't know what you're doing. You think and you think your kid is fine, and who knows, your kid could be choking and you don't even know that because it just you didn't have a video, so you don't know
Yeah,
what's going on in the back seat unless you have somebody in the back seat. And that's another thing too.
yeah.
You can go driving alone.
That's actually what I noticed too. There would be moms like they wouldn't leave; they'll stay at home until somebody can drive with them. So it gives you mobility. And you know what? That is exactly what happens. Where sometimes you don't know the children aren't making a noise. I actually have a story with my daughter because we were able to use it when my second baby came. We already had the Zooby, and I've taken her to the pediatrician, and she'd had a band-aid on her finger because they had pricked her finger. And I'm driving and I see that she put her finger in her mouth with the band-aid, and she took the finger out and then there was no band-aid. All of this I saw on the monitor screen, and I didn't panic. I think, my senses came in, but I was quickly pulled over, and it was one of those things that sure enough, that band-aid was in her mouth. And I do thank God because I would not have known otherwise. And there was absolutely no sound.
Yes.
So that I had the personal like benefit of like experiencing that and knowing that it actually helped me.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. That would
Yeah,
have
which
been
is scary.
scary, especially if it goes into their trachea and it gets stuck and then they can't breathe.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We've had
Well,
actually a few moms like reach out to us where it really has helped them. Like if you have babies that have special needs,
yeah,
or they have special breathing things to look at, they really have relied on our Zuby to help them. So we feel
right.
very fortunate and grateful that we were able to help in those instances.
Yeah, no, of course. And then also, I mean, we know the baby monitors that you use when you go to sleep,
Mhm.
but I would think you could use it too, right? The
Yes,
Zooby?
you can use a Zuby at home as well. And this is actually what makes us so unique is that we are portable. It's one of the rare ones that you can use at home and on the go. We actually opened the market in that with the cars. It was one of those like there's so many monitors for the home, but there really are not any for the cars. So
Yeah.
we opened that market.
Well, congratulations on that. And so, what else can we expect? Are we gonna have like Zooey point 2.0 or what's the next product along the way?
Actually, I'm really excited because our engineering team are working on improvements. We've got some good patents to lead us into the automotive state space. So can't wait for those partnerships to come out. I have another product coming out in the breathing space, which I'm so happy actually to be discussing that one when it comes out because I feel we don't know enough about the power of our breath, and so
Yes.
that's what this product's going to be about and how it can support moms and families.
Mm,
Um, because it really, it's one of these things where I always say if you have a vision you never realize that your vision actually can change the world. And this one, I feel, is going to make such a huge impact in bringing some peace and calm into a household.
Oh my God, yes. I love anything that is ease. I love no
Right?
stress. No stress. Please, no stress.
Thank
Yes.
you. I know
Yeah.
that's actually part of our design motto. We're like, it has to be easy to use. It's like how you said, we're moms. It's like you're doing the best you can. It's like, even though we say we're tech, it's like, it's got to be intuitive tech. It has to be easy. Like it. So whenever I'm in the development R&D space with our engineers, I'm like, is it easy? It's like, she's not going to stress out, is she? Because mom's got to take all these other things with her. So please make it as simple to use. So I
Yeah.
actually definitely into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is an incredible product. And so, where can we find this product?
You can check on our website, infanttech.com. You can find us on Amazon. We're also on walmart.com. And we're actually about to be in Macy's in a few months. So I'm excited that we're actually expanding our distribution.
Perfect, especially just in time for Christmas too,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Wow, well, congratulations, Lizette. And I'm looking forward to the breathing one. Let's see what that's all about. Because you know me, I'm all about the breath work.
Yes. No, you're gonna love it.
So, amiga, before we close out here, I always ask my guests if they could provide one or two tips on how an amiga can handle her shit. What say you?
You know what? One of my first ones is actually building a team.
Mm,
Building a team sooner than you think. I don't know what it is about, I'll flash back to being 18, thinking that I knew it all or I could do everything by myself. But building a team has nothing to do with your capability of doing it. It's the fact that you will expand your everything like tenfold, a hundredfold, right? Because it's understanding your weaknesses and your strengths and build the team for those pieces where it's like that's not your realm or it'll just move you faster. So that's number one. Number two, be true to yourself. Be okay with your own path and your journey. I did share about the fact that my career actually was it took a lot of twists and turns to get here. Infanttech is actually the first place where I feel excited. I feel where everything came into play, but I had to go through all of those past experiences to get to this point. And so it's okay to go through that, but be true to yourself. Like, what makes you happy? What's going to bring you joy? I know sometimes when you talk about Jackie of like the hard parts of being a lawyer, right? Like sometimes it's like those things are super stressful, and sometimes people think that they don't have a choice in their career, or like, oh, I've got to do these certain things. But if you really listen inside and you listen to this inner guidance, you will always be led to where you're meant to be. And so I think the faster you can start listening to that inner voice, you'll start moving to those places where it will bring you more happiness and it will bring you joy. And it's like, be confident that like that's where you're supposed to be at that time.
yes, yes. Amen. Amen, amiga. I love this because it's so true. Both things that you said, building a team. It's if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go further, go with people, right? Like that's just how it goes. And and also like the lion effect. It makes me think of the lion will be, when it's away from its pack, it then could it's almost it's open to the elements, right? But when they're in the pack, then you're stronger, more, better. And so yes, absolutely. And then also, be true to yourself. I think so important. I think oftentimes, at least my experience have been that we confuse being true to ourselves by being pleasure. Like, what do they say? Like, oh, you're like the yes, I could do it. I can help you. Yes, I can do it. But if you're true to yourself and you don't want to, don't do it because then you're going to live in resentment.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
And of course that comes with lessons, right? So, but I think that is one of those like the sooner you can recognize that, again, I think that's the faster path to being happy.
No, 1000%. So before I let you go, I wanted to give the forum for you. If there's anything you'd like to tell us that we haven't discussed about Infanttech.
You know what? We're really excited. I'm proud to know that we are a woman-owned business.
Mm.
When I think about the fact that my journey, like being an entrepreneur or being an immigrant, right? It's like there really is this piece of the American dream. It definitely hasn't been easy, but we're here, and I'm excited. I'm excited of the vision of where we're headed and how much more we still have like to bring. And we really are committed to making parents' lives easier, like bringing joy. I talked about that because I don't think enough people talk about that. At the beginning, this parenting journey is such a transitional and pivotal moment in life. It's like your life's never going to be the same.
Right.
And you cannot explain to someone that's not a parent exactly the ups and downs that come with it. So Infanttech exists to really making this journey a little bit easier. So I take pride in like, hey, can I make a mom smile today? Can I bring her some peace? Can I bring a dad, make him feel happier, and feel that his partner is safe. So we only bring products that can do that. It's like
Yeah.
they have to be easier to use, and can we make a difference?
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited for this journey.
Me
Uh,
too.
yes, and
At
like God
least,
brought this.
yeah. Oh, so amazing. Bringing joy and excitement. And I feel that because this is so in alignment with you, that it's just going to flourish. So I'm excited for all the things that you're doing, amiga, and I can't wait for the next product. And of course, you're going to come back, right?
Of course, always here for you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lizette, for being on Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast.
Always a pleasure.